Story 1. Health insurance representatives. The world would be a better place without this job. It has to be the most sociopathic position that's not just a politician or something. Story 2. Realtors. Have you ever had one talk you out of a property to push for a cheaper one? Have you ever had one tell you that the market is in a terrible position right now and you shouldn't buy or sell at this moment? Likely not. They're like glorified used car salespeople, and they want you to buy something and spend a fortune if possible. Story 3. Scrum Master, Agile Coach, or anything in that category. Spend a week on a development team in a moderately complex IT shop, and you'll understand. They're inevitably high on the can't do and look at me, my process is the goal scales. In my experience. Story 4. Chiropractor. Not just useless but potentially harmful. It is a pseudoscience with almost no evidence-based backing. Honorable mention to psychics and tarot readers for actively taking advantage of vulnerable people. Story 5. Hospital administrator. My favorite story is when a hospital I used to work for hired a consulting firm to analyze why the administrators were losing the hospital $50 million a year. Story 6. Those holistic doctors. They usually just say a bunch of nonsense, prescribe you some homeopathic medicine, which is the same as taking nothing, and then make loads of money from patients, social media posts, and useless books, supplements, online courses, and other items. Story 7. Those guys who set up pop-up stands in the middle of shopping malls and try to harass you into signing up for something you have no interest in signing up for. Story 8. Religion promoters and enforcers claim they are doing good, but in reality, they are causing more harm. They are essentially creating an open wound and then throwing glitter into it. Story 9. Can we even call this a profession? Influencers. I detest the language they all speak. Words like dreamy, obsessed, and so on, along with the staged videos they all make. They ignore their kids at the park while trying to get a decent photo of themselves. Revolting. Story 10. Influencer because they have zero contribution to society. I come from the United Kingdom, and whenever I visit the United States, I wonder what on earth is the point of a greeter in stores. At times, it feels like they are paid stalkers. Story 11. Medical and life insurance companies. It's unfortunate that they even exist. The only reason they exist is because they lobby with lawmakers to get them to write legislation that keeps them relevant. The medical industry does not need to make procedures super expensive, and our government has the ability to make healthcare affordable, but they won't so long as insurance companies are in their pockets. Meanwhile, these insurance companies, run by folks who did not go to medical school, and worked by folks who also did not go to medical school, get to decide what is a necessary treatment for a patient and how much or how long they will pay for it. We pay a premium subscription every month, hoping and praying we don't have to use that money for anything major, and when we fall ill, we're at the mercy of the very people we're paying that premium to. It's incredibly unfair, with the insurance company taking the role of the culprit, your current health status as the threat, and the minimal support they're willing to provide as the potential danger to your well-being. If you ask me, you're better off setting aside that money you would pay for your insurance and using it as a safety net specifically for medical expenses. No other first-world country makes their people choose between insurance expense and complete and utter financial ruin in the event of poor health outcomes. Oh, and if you own your own business in the world of free capitalism, you are doubly disadvantaged because you most likely won't qualify for state assistance for medical, and with increased expenses and taxes for business owners like those who are self-employed, you probably won't be able to afford health insurance for at least the first couple of years of your business. You cannot convince me that health and life insurance isn't problematic. We shouldn't need it. There's no real reason for it. Story 12. Landlord. Although the position could theoretically serve a helpful function, in practice it ends up just being people parasitically leeching money off of folks who are poorer than them. Story 13. Door-to-door salespeople. I do not even answer calls from people I do not know. What makes you think you are getting in my house for a demonstration? Story 14. There might be something I'm missing, but in my opinion, influencers. Everything I see from them just seems to be traveling and posting about how rich they are and how everything is handed to them. Story 15. Consultants. So many consultants get paid so much money just to say the most generic, run-of-the-mill stuff you could easily find on your own if you just Googled basic principles for X industry. Story 16. Pretty much anything that acts as an intermediary between the maker of a product and the end user. Car dealerships are the most obvious. But there's literally thousands of whole industries who do nothing, contribute nothing, but for some reason, I have to buy my products through them. Story 17. As an illustrator/animator, I am very happy that artist isn't on the first page before I would have to click show more. Because seriously, people who tap into art make up half of the consumable content. Story 18. It's not really a profession but a way people make money. Scalpers. They are basically a forced middleman, and in most cases, no value is gained by them. They are just parasites. You can make a case for them being useful when they import products into a country where you cannot get the product, and these are the only ways to get them to pay extra for that. But people who just buy a lot of an available product to artificially cause a shortage, just to sell it to those who could have easily gotten it cheaper otherwise, are useless. You have to be a very special kind of selfish and greedy to do that. It's not like these people need the money either. They need to have the money to pay for the product up front, so it's just people with money who want more money and are unwilling to add value to this deal. Story 19. Chiropractic care is often criticized as being a complete scam that relies on the endorphin release when your bones, or rather the nitrogen gas trapped between joints, crack. Critics suggest that the practice goes so far as to make the tables extra creaky, even installing a device to simulate a cracking sound, among other measures to enhance the effect. There is a significant concern regarding the fact that chiropractic does not require a medical degree, leading some to argue that it lacks a scientific basis. Critics argue that at best, chiropractic care may offer a few hours of relief without any actual long-term benefit. At worst, it is feared that it could cause permanent damage. It is particularly troubling to some that practitioners are aware of these limitations and yet continue to charge high prices for interventions that they know may not offer lasting benefits or could potentially lead to harm. Story 20. Criticisms, whether it's music, food, movies, etc., often come from people who do the critiques without having any experience in creating the things they're judging, so they're just another person with an opinion. Story 21. Working at a high-frequency trading, or HFT, firm involves creating extremely fast algorithms for conducting trading on micro-level timescales. These operations are highly profitable. However, it is a fact that they generate absolutely no value for anyone in society. Story 22. TikTok creators who engage in annoying behavior in public, such as dancing or singing in a subway, or filming themselves harassing fast food workers under the guise of humor. Story 23. I'm a magician. There's a joke going around that the only time we wouldn't be eaten first in a stranded in the mountain situation is if there is a mime on the same plane. Story 24. Etsy trend expert. Perhaps that's not the exact title, but it's something along those lines. I love the show Make It, but absolutely could not stand one of the judges. Oh, how interesting. You click on trending in the filter and then say, this is really popular right now, people will love it. It seems anyone who can read could do that job. She was incredibly annoying. Story 25. C-suite executive. They think they're all that and a bag of chips, but mostly just make poor decisions and then bounce from company to company not learning from their mistakes. Story 26. Upper-level management. In the 90s, it was all the rage to cut out the mid-level managers until people realized that was where organizational knowledge lived. This sparked a rise in interest in knowledge workers. Since then, the numbers of upper-level managers have expanded radically, with assistant vice presidents and directors for things like innovation management. These people are worse than useless. They actually impede organizations because they have to include themselves in as many processes as possible to rationalize their existence. It's the worst at universities. Story 27. Scalpers and resellers. They are unnecessary middlemen. My wife went to Disney recently and wanted this special sweater. But apparently one reseller walked up and grabbed everyone off the rack. Thankfully, she found one eventually. I also remember seeing people buying up PlayStation 5 consoles and charging 110% markups. If the markup is more than the price of the item, you should be jailed. Story 28. Anyone in the corporate world who has the word synergy mentioned in the first sentence of their job description. These are the same people who talk in corporate buzzwords but don't actually say anything actionable or meaningful. Story 29. Real estate agent? automate it with more rules governing fraud, and there is no reason for the ridiculous commissions paid for a 20-hour shift. Complete scam. Story 30. I do love YouTubers, especially Let's Players, but I don't see where the career is sustainable at all if you're not willing to pivot to other things like acting, teaching, or entrepreneurship. As soon as their platform dies or people just stop caring, they're going upstream without a paddle. Story 31. Sports as a paid career. Let it be a hobby. Sports should be a hobby that people engage in at their local sports clubs on the weekends, not a paid career. They are exploitative at best, derailing entire groups of fit individuals from contributing to a greater whole. Supersized stadiums stand on acres of asphalt and concrete deserts. All the materials and waste from uniforms, equipment, and more could instead be tools or homes and clothing for the destitute. It's generally a sign of moral decay when thousands, if not millions, would rather see parks and local stores crumble to make way for these arenas that sit idle and empty when the team does not play or moves. These structures are built with taxes and only let the occasional local use a tiny part of it for extortionate fees. Generations are fooled into believing it is the easy, big break to pour their time into because it is easier than working, but if your body breaks along the way and too late in life you're left with nothing. That's more so the individual's priorities being confused, but it is insulting to have homelessness and a sports colossus coexisting. Story 32. The vast majority of the finance industry lacks true value creation when you merely cut a commission from trades for some derivative-packed nonsensical product devised on the spot.